Hello, this is Corey here with my brother Roy,
Hey guys.
and this is the CoryTellAllSports Super Bowl podcast. So we've hit halftime, and the Seahawks have been dominant. They're up 22-0 over the Denver Broncos, and if Peyton Manning wants to win his second Super Bowl, he will have to make the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history. Roy, what did you see out there in the first half?
Well, I mean, to be quite frank, it was the Seattle Seahawks D was just dominating the game. I mean, before the game, there's all talk about the Seahawks D against the Denver Broncos offense, and quite frank, it's the Seahawks D has just been amazing. 2 interceptions. Cliff Averill has just gotten into Manning's face, and just big plays are all around by the defense.
Yeah, coming into the game, it was the contrast of styles. It was Denver's number one offense and Seattle's number one defense. And the Legion of Boom and Seattle's defense, they've been everywhere, flying around the ball. I mean, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas in the secondary, and the big Cliff Averill and McDaniel and Red Bryan up front. They've just smothered anything that Denver
set the tone. Cam Chancellor, I believe it was on one of the first plays on the second drive. Actually, just had a huge hit on Marino. It was monstrous, and I mean, just really set the tone of the game, saying "Smash Mouth, we're gonna put it in you. You're not gonna get any yards after the throw or the rush." So big plays.
Yeah, I mean, the game started off just terribly for Denver. Payton looks like he's going to audible at the line. Manny Ramirez snaps it, goes into the end zone, and it's a safety right away. The quickest score in Super Bowl history, the 8th safety in Super Bowl history.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
And so it starts out terribly. Obviously, the one thing Seattle might need to clear up.
Just red zone offense. I mean, in terms of scoring touchdowns, they're 0 for 2, but I mean, their defense has just been astounding. But yes, I mean, and they've been pretty close. It hasn't been like they were on the 30-yard line. I mean, their D is doing a lot. They got to convert, especially because when you have Peyton Manning on the other side of the ball, you know they're going to get some points up.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing with Seattle in this first half is they've made a big effort to try and get Percy Harvin involved, and he's had 2 big runs out of the backfield.
Carry.
Yeah. And so that's been very effective. Seattle dominated the first half. I mean, if we look at some of these stats, 148-11 in yards, 11:41 time of possession compared to 3:19 for Denver. The first quarter was just a domination from Seattle, but they really needed the 2 touchdowns in the second quarter to really extend their lead.
Yeah, and Aikman actually touched on it at first, saying it's tough for rookies to actually get the feel of the Super Bowl, and although they try to make it just another game, it isn't. But I mean, the defense has just made it so easy for Russell Wilson. I mean, from a rookie quarterback, at least in the Super Bowl, I mean, you're kind of scared, you're hesitant, but I mean, the Seahawks, they have just played so well. It allowed Wilson just to play by himself, be free, and not feel a strain that he has to throw more than he has to.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first quarter was really dominated by Seattle's offense, despite the fact that Marshawn Lynch only has 1.5 yards per carry. And, I mean, they got Harvin out of the backfield, and they got Russell Wilson moving his feet, extending plays. They got a bunch of third downs, and so that was the story of the first quarter, really.
And then the Denver actually had the ball most of the second half, but I mean...
Second quarter, yeah.
Second quarter, but I mean, they just made so many stupid mistakes, and they really could just not drive down the field. And I mean, we talked about it, I mean, before the game. You got to keep Peyton Manning off the ball, and the Seahawks have done just that.
Yeah, so, I mean, the thing that is pretty obvious to me, what I've seen in the second quarter, is when you get Manning off his spot, that is when he can make some errant throws, overthrows.
Never been a good runner. You always laugh when Peyton runs.
Yeah, so I mean, that interior pressure the Broncos front has to shore up because guys like Cliff Averill, they've just been getting inside pressure on Manning, and that's been forcing some bad throws. That interception, for example, Cliff Averill got up the middle, hit Payne's arm, and he's going
then the other
forward.
one, I forget, one of the D tackles actually got a tip on it, and it ended up in Malcolm Smith's hand, and that's a 69-yard interception return.
Yeah, actually the second longest interception return for a touchdown. The longest also was against Peyton in that Super Bowl. Tracy Porter.
It really is. I mean, you talk about Peyton, how he's struggled in the playoffs and legacy, but I mean, just right now, he has not been himself. And the one throw that I really didn't like on the play call, at least, was Fox's decision. I don't know if Fox or if it was Manning actually at the line. It was a 4th down at the end of the half. I think that you got to do an easy slant. You got Demarius, Welker, Decker. Why do a little out route like that? I do not like that play call.
Yeah, once again, that was that was Clemens on the pressure there. I think he got a finger on that. And another play where Seattle's front got hands up and forced Manning to make a bad throw. So, I mean, Denver has to shore up their offensive line in the first half, which, I mean, who thought we would be saying that? Because in the season, they allowed so few sacks. Manning got sacked 18 times in 18 games, and now Denver's offensive line just did not play well in that first half.
Yeah, now being the Twitter fanatic that I am, I was on Twitter, and a lot of people were saying, you got to put points on the board, just give confidence. Do you think they should have taken the field goal, get the 3 points on the board, or do you think it was a smart decision going from it? Albeit, obviously, they didn't make it, but even before knowing that.
Personally, I think I like the decision to go for the touchdown, because even if you did get the field goal, it's still a 3-possession game, and there's only so many possessions that you're going to have in the second half. I think that if they scored there, it would have been a 2-possession game. Unfortunately, they didn't get it, but I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. They're still going to need 3 touchdowns either way, and if Seattle scores in the second half, it's going to be very hard for Denver to make up this lead. So I do think it was not a bad decision to go for it from Fox there.
And I like Wilson. He's playing comfortable out there. He's getting out the pocket. And one thing I'm seeing, they're maintaining the ball a lot. You see a lot of third downs, and they're being successful on third downs. 4 for 6 from third downs. I mean, it's obviously helping keeping Manning off the field.
Yeah, and I mean, in the second half, there's going to be some keys if Denver wants to get back in this game, which is not looking good right now. First, I think they're going to have to continue to stop the run, because Seattle.
They have it.
Yeah, but Seattle's a conservative offense. They're not going to throw the ball that much in the second half, especially with a 22-point lead. So they need guys like Terrence Knight in and their big defensive front to continue to stop the run, because they need to give Payton the ball as much as they can.
Yeah, and I think Julius Thomas really needs to make himself available. I mean, obviously the interception was to him on a terrible throw by Manning, but that can open up guys like Welker down the middle. It'll relieve pressure off Demaryius, Decker as a whole. I really think Julius Thomas is the key to kind of getting that offense running. And I think even more important than all those wide receivers, obviously top-notch wide receivers, is Noshawn Marino. They can just get a little run game going. I mean, obviously open up the pass. And I think the run game really has to establish itself in the second half if they have any chance of coming back from this deficit.
I mean, the thing that we have to watch in the second half is the time, because there's only so many possessions. Denver's down 3 scores already.
And Seahawks have the ball.
Seahawks have the ball coming out in the second half. If they establish another long drive, I mean, there's only so much time for Manning. And obviously, we've seen Payton. He doesn't have the long throw that he once did. And he likes that short dinks over the middle, and he's only going to have so much time for his long drives that he likes to sustain. I mean, we're going to see in the second half whether
with the secondary of Earl Thomas, Sherman, Chancellor. I mean, it's very tough to throw. They really got to make their possessions worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the one thing Denver has to do definitely is shore up their offensive line, because we've seen Payton throws the ball from one spot, and he can't be under pressure. He's not like Wilson, who can make plays with his feet.
And when you give him that time, though, he is obviously deadly.
Yeah, I mean, he had some nice throws to Welker and Thomas in that first half when he did have time in the pocket, and that's what they're going to have to continue to do. Because Payton is 16-19 in games where he's been sacked twice or more. So if you can pressure Payton, he doesn't play as well. And that's what Seattle has been doing.
I'm pretty sure you told me he was sacked 18 times this season.
Yeah.
That's about that's very good if you look at the average overall for all the quarterbacks in the league. So, I mean, it's surprising that Denver hasn't really kept him up or helped him out.
Yeah, because Seattle's done a really nice job getting pressure on him up the middle. So, in this second half, you think Seattle's going to continue to run the ball?
I mean, obviously, but they've been stopped quite a lot. But I think, obviously, with Marshawn Lynch, just a brutal bruiser up the middle, a little alliteration there. And I think they'll just keep on running. But, I mean, you also got to look for the play action, obviously. because Wilson can run out of the play action. He can look for Tate. I would see a couple trick plays, actually, that they tried to do a little reverse with Percy Harvin. So I think a little trickery can go into the Seahawks defense, but I think you'll see a lot of running.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's been a first half that was dominated by the Seahawks. Their number one defense, which allowed the least passing yards against the Broncos that had the most passing yards. The defense won, and it's pretty interesting because the NFL nowadays, everybody says it's an offensive-driven league. Everything's made for the offense, and in this half, we saw that defense still wins championships.
So, Corey, do you think the Broncos can overcome this deficit?
I think that they will make it closer than people would think it would be, down 3 scores at halftime, but I think it's too much to overcome, and I think that Seattle comes away champions. How about you, Roy?
Although I'm a Brady fan and I don't want to win, and I don't want Manning to win, obviously, but I think Peyton, yes, I agree with you. I think Peyton will make it close, very close. I think it's going to come down to maybe a final possession, but I think the Seahawks will come through. Now, Corey, we've talked about the game. There's one question we haven't asked. Probably the most important question. What was your favorite advertisement?
I mean, I thought the commercials were pretty subpar so far this year. Maybe they're waiting for the second half. I like the one with James Franco. I'm a James Franco guy, so that's my vote.
Not going to lie. David Beckham, pretty good-looking guy. And Doritos, of course, always makes good commercials.
All right, guys, so we'll see you after the game for the Super Bowl post-game show with me and Roy. We'll see who walks away as champions. See you guys.
Peace.